As the Joker once said in Batman the Killing Joke, all it takes is one bad day. And that guy is indeed having one bad day. Hey everybody, and thanks for clicking on this video and checking out my channel. So last night I went out and checked out the newest comic book film, Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix and directed by Todd Phillips, telling the story and exploring the idea of how someone like the Joker could come to exist in a society much like our own. Before we get started, if you'd like to talk about this movie with me, I welcome you to do so, and I'd love for you to do so. Just comment all your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below, because I want to hear all your thoughts and opinions about this movie, and I want to get a fun conversation started with you in the comment section. And with all that out of the way, let's talk about the newest controversial comic book movie, Joker. So this is not the first time that we have had a Joker origin story. In Batman 1989, Jack Nicholson got his kind of version of the Joker origin story, only this one is told a lot differently. Yeah, no one's dropping into acid in this movie. This movie takes a really grounded look at how a character like the Joker could come to be in a society that's much like our own. One thing that I thought was really great about this movie is how Todd Phillips took his time with telling the story and showing the progression of how this guy's life is just getting so bad to the point that when he breaks, you totally buy the fact that he breaks. His brain just has that mental snap and he becomes the Joker. But before we get to the Joker, this movie is just drenched in misery. And let's get to the common denominator that everyone, whether you like this movie, hate this movie, or love this movie, Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck in this movie is phenomenal. He gives both a sympathetic and horrific performance simultaneously. You both feel bad for this guy. This guy's life is horrible. Everyone's crapping on him. He obviously has mental health. In fact, he says that he has a mental condition that causes this laugh to come out uncontrollably. Sometimes it comes out at inappropriate moments and it gets him into a lot of trouble. Throughout the entire movie, this movie is just built upon events in Arthur's life that just get worse and worse and worse and worse. To the point that when he transitions and becomes the Joker, you totally understand and you can pinpoint the exact moment where he snapped, where it happened, and how that character came to be. And it is haunting, it is unsettling, it is something that sticks with you, or at least it stuck with me. Time will tell, but I really do believe that Joaquin Phoenix has given an unforgettable performance here as Arthur Fleck in this version of the Joker. What Todd Phillips does so great with this movie is he puts a huge emphasis on mental health with the Arthur Fleck character and how dangerous it can be when a society doesn't recognize the science and gives people with these conditions the help that they need. And in that way, this movie to me had a lot of commentary on our own society and how these people that exist in our own society, we sometimes are the people that surround Arthur Fleck in his life. We are the ones that we don't pay attention to them, keep them on the side. You can see the transition and you can see the progression of where the character of Arthur Fleck starts and what leads him and what happens to him and what events cause him to eventually take on the persona of the Joker. Joaquin Phoenix's physical acting in this movie is also really, really great. His demeanor slowly changes throughout the entire movie. The more crap and horrible events that go on through Arthur and the more that he is subjected to and the more that he goes through, you can see the character start to change his mannerisms a little bit. He drops some of his traits, he picks up new ones. You can slowly see him progress and change into a completely different character that by the time that he becomes Joker, you can trace back in your mind how those events led him to this point. And it's really mesmerizing and it's phenomenal to watch. And the violence in this movie is really effective as well. There has been a lot of controversy around this movie, how it glorifies violence, how it can cause this to happen or inspire someone to do this. Coming from my own perspective and my own opinion, I didn't see any of that. The violence to me in this movie was horrific. And it was horrific because it was raw, it felt gross, it felt real. And the most horrific thing about it is how it affects Arthur Fleck, how the character of Arthur Fleck responds to the violence. Joaquin Phoenix shows how it kind of gives the character a little bit of power for the first time in his life. And it's chilling, it's unsettling, and it certainly feels unnerving. I also really love the look of this movie. The movie takes place mid-70s, early 80s era, and it definitely feels like it belongs in those set of movies. When the trailers came out for this movie, it was mostly compared to Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. I've watched both of those recently in preparation for the movie, and I definitely say it leans more towards the Taxi Driver than the King of Comedy. This movie feels more like it takes inspiration and cues and ideas of Taxi Driver more than King of Comedy. The feel of the movie especially is a lot more in line with Taxi Driver than it is King of Comedy. The only one negative I had with the movie is how it does a lot of talk about the economy and how the society is, but we don't really get to see too much of that. This movie is entirely told by the perspective of Arthur Fleck, so there's rarely a scene where he's not in it, and we're not seeing it through his point of view, so in that sense, we're not able to really get away and check out the rest of the city and see what the society is really like. We hear a lot about it through the radio and through conversations and newspapers, but it felt like they wanted to have the city be a character of its own in the movie, and I just really didn't feel that kind of connection. I didn't feel like the city was the character. I felt like there was just a lot of exposition for the city, and I didn't feel like it wasn't so much show as it was tell. But besides that one thing, I really didn't have any other flaws or negatives that I found within this movie. I thought this movie was brilliant. It takes a character that has been in pulp culture for decades and decades and decades and puts a completely new perspective, light, and angle on him, one that we have never seen before. It definitely replaces The Dark Knight as the most grounded comic book adaptation ever made. It can feel slow at times, it can feel like it's taken a little while to get to the point, but all of that feels really necessary, because if Todd Phillips had taken less time to get to the Joker, if he did not have that slow build-up and show that transition and progression happen, I don't feel like it would be as effective, and I thought the way that they did it was super, super effective in this movie. In the end, guys, Joker is shot beautifully, it's acted phenomenally, and it tells a pretty unsettling, disturbing, and somewhat realistic story of how this maniac, deranged comic book villain could actually happen in society. And time will tell, but I do feel like this movie is going to be a timeless classic, especially in the comic book genre. I loved it. Anyway, guys, those are all my thoughts and opinions on Joker. But what did you think about Joker? Have you had a chance to see it yet? Comment down below, let me know. I want to know all your thoughts and opinions about the Joker movie. And as always, guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video and checking out my channel. Once again, my name's Zachary Milne. Thank you for talking movies with me, and hope you have yourself a great day.